back to Anton's class. Today's video is going to be an apartment tour, but that's not it. Stay tuned after the apartment tour. The apartment tour is kind of a brief introduction to the accommodation that we stayed in Kigali, Rwanda. But after that, I'm gonna sit down here and come back and give you guys some very insightful tips and very important information if you're considering moving to Kigali, Rwanda. So stay tuned after the apartment tour. I'll be right here.
Come on in, everyone. Welcome to the Mountain View Apartments in Kigali, Rwanda, in Gisozi sector.
Welcome to the apartment we're staying in. This is called Mountain View Apartments. It's a very beautiful accommodation. Duff review the artwork on the wall. They have a beautiful plant. Check the scenery. It's very stunning. Downtown's behind there. You can't see it. This is Kigali Heights area. Hi. Hi. All right. And here's our abode. I'm tired. We're packing actually to go elsewhere. All right, so as soon as you come in, here is the living space in the kitchen. You have the sink here. They have lots of storage. They have dishes already available for you in this apartment. You have the full-size fridge with freezer and the fridge up here. They have tons of utensils and knives and whatnot, a cutting board. Tons of dishes, as I said. You have the microwave. You have the full working stove and oven, and then you have the thing that helps you to evacuate the smoke. You have the window here, full dining table, 2 chairs. Here's a chair, lovely chair to watch TV. You have this table, which we use frequently. It even comes with a fan. You have this sofa here, and another chair, and then the window which opens up. All right, you have these sheer curtains, and then these fuller ones which are really good for blacking it out if you should want to sleep in. So now we're gonna head over. Oh, and it also comes with this, the water cooler. This is about $4 US to refill, so this is great. Keeps the water cool. Now here to the restroom. It's pretty small, basic, but it works, it's functional. You have some storage under there. You have the sink. Obviously, the toilet, it even comes with this fun thing, which we're not accustomed to in the United States, this little water attachment. And the shower is really nice because it has the attachment arm, it has the different jet streams that spray out from the top and the side. And of course, you have the areas to hang your towels. All right, and then here's the bedroom. This place actually has 2 bedrooms and 1 bedroom. We're staying in the 1 bedroom here. You have the full queen-size bed here, and then you have the full-size mirror, which really comes in handy. And you have the full-size wardrobe here. We've already packed this, so we don't really see much in there. There's a bottom part space here. There's a few hangers that come with the apartment. This top section up here, and then there's more storage here. 3 large cubbies, and then there's a small cubby down here as well. Pull out. There's charging sockets on both sides, and then there's also a safe here. Okay, and then you have the wonderful view of the mountains in the background. It's a very lovely view. It's very cool. All right, and that about wraps it up, you guys. I just wanted to give you a quick apartment tour. I'm going to touch on a few other things before we close the video out to let you know where I'm heading to next in Africa. So if you're interested, stay tuned. All right, everyone, welcome back to Anton's class. You just saw the apartment tour. It was pretty quick and brief, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what an apartment might look like in Kigali, Rwanda. Once again, those were Mountain View apartments that I was staying in Right now, I'm actually not in Rwanda. I'm in another country in Africa, but that's for an entirely different video. You know, of course, I want to check out other places in Africa, but this video is about Kigali, Rwanda. So let's go ahead and get into it. When it comes to finding an accommodation in Kigali, Rwanda, these are a few very key and important facts that you can take with you if you're considering coming to the continent, if you're considering coming to Kigali, Rwanda. These facts that I'm going to go over are really brief and general, and they helped me, and they're based on my personal experience. And of course, if you ask someone else, they're going to have their own personal experiences, but this is based on my personal experience, all right? Myself and my friend, my business partner who is also there with me. And so these facts, these little bits of information should hopefully help you out, all right? Because of course, Kigali, Rwanda is very different than New York or Phoenix, Arizona or Los Angeles or wherever you're coming from in the West. It's a very different culture, it's a different environment. Of course, some things are sort of similar, but it's completely different. So hopefully these things, based on my experience, will help you. So the first thing to consider when finding a place is, of course, the price. That's always very important. You have to figure out what your budget's gonna be coming out here. If you have a job waiting for you, of course, then that's gonna help you. But if you're coming with a savings and you're moving to Rwanda and trying to start over or start a life there, then of course you're gonna have to consider your budget. So with price, of course you're gonna have to consider your price, your budget. There were places we saw, so I went and saw a place, okay? It was quite far out. I was staying in Gisozi at Mountain View Apartments, and we had to trek all the way across town to an area, I think it was even past Gikondo. And I'm gonna put up a map on the screen so you can kind of see a map of Kigali.
So we started in Gisozi sector and ended up in Gikondo.
And this place was even farther out than Gikondo, and it cost about $250 US a month. It was actually on a gentleman's property, and he and his wife lived there, and they had a separate part of the house that they were renting out. I think it was a one or two bedroom rather apartment, and it had a little side yard. They also said you could use the front yard. They had a garden there, and like I said, it was kind of far out, but if you don't mind that, then in 250 is within your price range, then you could consider something that's a little far out. It wasn't too far from like the little neighborhood market, the little neighborhood bank, and things like that were still in proximity, but it was kind of far from the downtown area and Kigali Heights and the more happening parts of town. So we did find something for about $250. All right. However, if you want something more in town, which is what I would probably prefer, then you're looking at price ranges from like $450 to $600 to $700 and even $800. Of course, there are places that go for much higher, for about $1K US a month. And if that's something you're prepared to spend, then go for it. All right. But you can definitely find something around the $450 to $650 price range if that's what you're looking for. And if you want something that's a modern accommodation that has the creature comforts that you're used to coming from the West, then you can do that, but be prepared to pay the higher price tag. I know some of you watching this are probably wanting to save a lot of money, and you're thinking, well, $450, $500, $600, those are prices in the US. Well, actually not really, because most places in the US are not even anywhere near that anymore, but you still can find places like that in the US. But you're gonna get more bang for your buck as far as the fixtures and the interior is concerned for that price range, all right? Another thing, of course, so now moving on from price, we're gonna talk about the second thing, which is location, right? Location is very important when you're planning to move to another place. And with Kigali, Rwanda, if you haven't been here yet, then of course, like I said, I'm gonna have an image of the map to kind of give you a general idea. Since I've been in Rwanda, I hadn't had a chance to really familiarize myself with all of the areas, but I have been around quite a large scope of the city, so I do have an idea, all right? And so with location, you want to consider, of course, the closeness, the proximity to the things that you like, proximity to shops that you like. If you want to feel like you're back home, you might want to live not too far from Kigali Heights or downtown, or maybe Kimaronko. There are certain areas that are going to be more familiar to your lifestyle back home. And so when you're investigating moving to Rwanda, of course you're gonna come and touch down and tour and figure all this out on your own. But before you go, at least you'll have a general idea, right? Look at the map. Kigali Heights is an area which you might like because it's kind of very similar to back home in the States, and also downtown. So if you want to stay in proximity to these creature comforts, the shops that you like Simba Market, for example, in Kigali Heights, and it's in other places as well, it had a lot of foreign foods and snack items and things that I like to purchase that kind of help me with when I'm feeling homesick. But if you're not concerned with that, if you're not concerned with being in close proximity to downtown or any of these places, then it's okay for you to look farther out. And another thing to consider though, when you're talking about location of course, is the dirt roads. Now, most of the roads are paved, of course, in Kigali, and they're doing a wonderful job of developing and paving and really modernizing everything there. But there are some places that once you get farther out, that are, well, even within town, that will have the dirt roads, and I know they're working on paving them, but if dirt roads don't bother you so much, then that's something that you'll be okay with. But if you would prefer not to live down a dirt road, then that's something you're going to have to consider as well. And when you get to run Kigali, you're really going to drive around, and when you talk to your real estate agent or your broker, you'll see the areas, and you could tell them, I don't want to live down a dirt road, or I don't mind living down a dirt road. And not all dirt roads are created equally. Some are really hilly and have a lot of rocks and crevices, and then others are kind of smoothed out, almost like they're ready for being paved. So that's another thing to consider. When it comes to location, of course, traffic. So when I was in Kigali, you know, there were certain times of the day and in certain areas in which there were lots of traffic. All right, there was tons of traffic. But other times of day, there wasn't a lot of traffic at all. However, it's something you are gonna have to consider, right? Because if you're not prepared to get in traffic jams, or if you're leaving the United States particularly to relax and get away from the heavy traffic in the city that you're from, then you do wanna consider traffic, all right? So you might wanna stay somewhere that's a little farther out, okay? Or you could always walk if you're staying somewhere. So that's another thing to consider in location is walkability. If you want to be somewhere and walk, you don't want to have to own a car, or you don't want to have to use a taxi or get on the back of the motorbike, then if you get a location, you pick a location that's close proximity to your church or whatever place of worship, or close to the market, and close proximity to the hospital, if that's something that you need to be thinking about, or proximity to your job, right? Then it's always nice to be able to walk. And yes, in Kigali and Rwanda in general, people walk a lot. It's a walking culture, and people are totally not against walking, and people love to walk. And they just do it because it's free, right? So if walking is something important to you, then of course consider that as well. Now we're gonna move on to the next topic, which of course is your broker, all right? You making your connections. Now, we actually were able to make a few connections while we were in Rwanda, and we're still in connection with these individuals if we decide to go back there. We had a real estate agent or broker, and his name was Cedric. His name is Cedric. So if you guys want to find his information, of course, I can go ahead and give that to you. But Cedric was the real estate agent. He showed us around to different areas. We kind of told him the price range. Yes, he showed us some things that were a little above our price range to see if we would consider them, and we did end up kind of considering some of those places. Another interesting thing is, since Rwanda, and I think Africa in general, but I can't make that statement yet, but I think in Rwanda for sure, it's kind of who you know, and there's people that if you have connections, and this person knows that person, and word of mouth, because what happened was when we were with the real estate agent, he showed us one place, which was in Vision City, and his friend ended up getting in the car and then driving with us and showing us other places, some really incredible places, which we wouldn't have seen otherwise, all right? So be prepared for that sort of journey and be okay with it, all right? If something makes you feel uncomfortable, fine, you know, don't go down with it, follow your intuition or what have you. However, you know, get prepared for things operating differently than what you're used to in a different country and a different culture. With this other person, this third-party person, we did have to wait for him once when he had to run into this facility. I don't even know what he was doing, but it took like 30 minutes. He came out and then he showed us some really beautiful places. So definitely maybe consider making connections before you go. You can find real estate agents and brokers before you go online, on Facebook and on other websites. I think one of the websites is called House in Rwanda, something like that. So yeah, you can definitely look into that. Make some connections, talk, have conversations with people. One of the people we even connected with was someone we connected through an Airbnb. We didn't stay there, we didn't end up staying there. However, we stayed in connection with him. He, we still talk to him occasionally, and he may or may not serve as a connection for us later on. I'm finding that that's how it kind of works in Africa, right? It's a little different in America, but in Africa, once you meet someone, and in Rwanda, they're very polite and they're very willing to help. Once you make those connections, those people usually want to stay in your life, right? One other connection we made was at the first hotel we stayed at. There was a gentleman there named Claude, and he showed us a place as well. He showed us a place that was within our price range. It was 2-bedroom, and it was kind of had a nice view. It was on a hill. It was up a dirt road and up a pretty steep hill, so that was something that we didn't particularly enjoy. But if you have no problem with that, then good for you, right? But hills, of course, as I mentioned in another video, Rwanda, Kigali is known as the city on 1,000 hills, or the city of 1,000 hills, and there are lots of hills there, and so that's something you have to be prepared for. It's something you're going to get used to. As I was there, I was starting to get used to the hills, you know what I mean? But it's just something you're going to have to consider when you're moving to Rwanda, are the hills, when you're moving to Kigali, right? Something to prepare for. All right, oh, and again, with the brokerage, with the broker, there's gonna be, so when you go out with your real estate agent, you're gonna have to pay the daily fee, which is negotiable. We negotiated the fee down with our real estate agent because they're showing you the properties. It's not like that in the United States. A lot of times you don't pay anything to see a property. But here, since they're driving you around and spending gas and all that and spending their time with you, you will pay a fee, and it's not a lot. All right, we didn't pay a lot for the day. And then if you do decide to go with one of the apartments that the broker showed you, then you do have to pay a brokerage fee. All right, and of course it's different for every firm, or for every company, or for every real estate agency. It's going to be different. All right, so and that's usually negotiable as well, but that's for you to find out and to discuss. And I highly recommend this. Pay attention to this part. Discuss that before you even go, because if you don't, they might come up with a higher fee than what you expected. It might surprise you. Honestly, I was personally surprised because back home, we didn't do that, right? The owner of the home usually pays a fee, but here, in this case, you do have to pay. If you do decide to go with one of the apartments that the real estate agent showed you, then you do at the end have to pay a brokerage fee. It could be 10% of the monthly rent, or it could be up to 50. It just depends, right? So make sure when you come to Kigali, if you're going to be utilizing a real estate agent or a broker, make sure before you even get in that car with that person to discuss what are their terms, how much do you have to pay, how much is their daily fee, is it negotiable, how much is the brokerage fee. Make sure you know that before you come out here, all right, you guys, because I didn't, and so it was kind of surprising. So yeah. All right, you guys, that about wraps it up. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this video was insightful for you guys. I'm definitely gonna have other videos. I have more videos about Rwanda. I have more footage concerning Rwanda, and it's gonna be a story time video. One of my good friends is always asking me to do longer story time videos, and I will have that in store for you guys. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead and comment below. If you like the shorter, quicker, more informative videos, that's fine too. Go ahead and comment that below if that's your preference. But I do have a storytime video coming up concerning like the language barrier and the importance of really maybe learning Kinyarwanda if you're deciding to move to Rwanda, all right? And if you can guess what country I'm in right now, go ahead and comment. I'm in another African country right now. There will be videos out about this current country and my experiences here, because this is Anton's class, and of course I'm here to give you your cultural advice and your tips on relocating to Africa.